The time is just gone 8:26 a.m. and it appears today, the 27th of October, is quite an important day because earlier on we spoke with the Imtiaz Kaji, the nephew of Ahmad Timur, because it was on the 27th of October 1971 that Ahmad Timur was murdered. And another reason why we are looking at the 27th of October is today being Kashmir Black Day. Each year, this day is commemorated to mark protest and resentment by Kashmiris around the world, and this includes Pakistan, to condemn the forced occupation of India in Jammu and Kashmir, because it was on this day when the Indian occupying forces had landed in Kashmir, and we know what has happened to the people of Kashmir since then. 1947, so it's 75 years later, where we see the suffering of the Kashmiri people, which started then and still continues and even getting worse under this brutal fascist Modi government. And we joined on the line this morning by the chairperson of the South African Kashmir Action Group, Salman Khan. Salman, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers. All the media and the
But
listeners.
Salman, I think we've got bad quality coming through from your side in terms of sound. If you could possibly move around, because
Can you hear me?
uh, yes,
Can you hear me
I
now?
can. You can continue. Let me just see if I can get you clearly, Salman.
Okay.
Okay, much
Can you hear me?
better. Yes. As I mentioned that, year after year, when October the 27th comes, we commemorate, and we know right across the entire world, it is marked by protest. And Kashmir people obviously remember this day when the forced occupation of Jammu and Kashmir had started by the illegal Indian forces, Salman.
Yes, once again, assalamu alaikum to you and to your team and to the beautiful listener of Salam Media. Jazakallah khair. Yes, I think you have just summed it up in so beautifully, in succinct and such a precise manner that I don't think so that I have to add anything in addition to that. The Indian illegal forces landed in 1947 on this very day at the Srinagar airport, and since then, the game of the holy and the blood and ashes continue. You are 100% correct. And of course, every year we commemorate. But before I move on to that, my condolences to the Ahmed Timur.
Salman, I think you are going very, very soft actually, and we're not going to be doing justice to this interview. I'm hoping that we can get you on a better line. I'm going to ask my engineer to get hold of you on a better line, because the line quality certainly is not very good at this point in time. So we will continue, and just for the benefit of our listeners, our viewers this morning, and I see there is already a comment with regard to India saying terrorists. India is another Israel, and we've always maintained that whatever is happening with Israel and Palestine is actually being mirrored by India in Kashmir, and 75 years of forced occupation has meant a lot. When one looks at how Kashmir, they have been subjected to serious human rights abuses, extrajudicial killings, state terrorism, and this is exactly what Israel has been guilty of in Palestine as well. In fact, Kashmir is an even older occupation than Palestine, yet we find that. We know that there will be protests, but at the end of the day, we need to increase the momentum as it is being done internationally in the case of Palestine. Salman Khan is back with us. No, he's not back with us. We're going to try and get hold of him on a better line. But again, when one looks at what is taking place currently and the latest developments as far as Kashmir is concerned, we know what the Modi government has done. They abolished the special status of Kashmir. They revoked Articles 370 and 35A of the Indian Constitution in 2019. And there is very little that we know what is really taking place since that date, since the August the 5th, 2019. Salman Khan is back with us. Salman, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is it better?
Yes, much better. If you could just raise your volume a bit and just speak a bit louder, please, Salman. Sorry, Salman, continue
Oh,
where we were.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
go ahead.
Yes, dear brother, you are 100% correct that this, the revoking of the Article 370, since then nothing has changed. And for the last 75 years, the total suspension of the human rights in Kashmir continue. And many political leaders, including the journalists, are languishing behind the bar. And there is a total suspension of the internet connectivity, media, journalism, freedom of expression. And I'm sure you have been a part of many protests in South Africa, and that status quo has never changed.
Yes, in fact, what I was saying is there is a comment that's come up on my screen saying terrorist India is another Israel. Now, the point also is Kashmir being an older occupation than a Palestine, but not receiving the attention that the Israel occupation of Palestine received, Salman.
100%, you are very correct. These two tragedies, we call it a Dul Nakba, started in 1947 to 1948. Both of them, the common denominator was a British Maharaj exiting and leaving something behind, the Pandora, that the generation after generation is still suffering. So you are very correctly by summing up or your comment that Israel, India is the biggest trading partner and the biggest import of the arms and ammunition from Israel. And you're rightly they're saying so that Palestine has received so much of the condemnation and so much of the limelight on the media, but Kashmir have been subsided. But people like you giving the lifeline to the Kashmiri struggle by bringing us to speak on your platform.
Saman, just looking at what is going to take place, and we know every year Kashmir Black Day is being observed, and just looking around the world, what is going to be taking place today?
Well, the international condemnation in every city and every nook and corner that has been continued. And of course, I'm sure you're aware of it that for the last 27 years, I've been always having the protest at the Indian, the Consul General. But for the last year or so, they have brought this new legislation on new law in South Africa that the protest can only take place, political protest can only take place in Pretoria or into their main embassies, not at the consul generals into the other cities. So since we know our contingent, our support base in Johannesburg, every time we apply now for the last 2 years, is actually the permission has not been granted. They said all the political protest has to be at the embassy. But having saying that, apart from South Africa, and I think all the cities having a picketing, but internationally, New York to Vancouver, and the places that we never had it, even in Brazil, we having a protest outside uh, Indian embassies, and that will continue. But since the demise of Burhan Wani, the social media is so alive a buzz that not even a one day passes by that Kashmir is not being mentioned, and more people across the world are joining the struggle for Kashmir. That is very encouraging. It will take a time. For the last 75 years, it has been struggle, but now it is turning into be the true global movement.
Yes, and also I think with the focus on the United Nations, and we know that many resolutions were passed, and also at the end of the day, looking at some of these resolutions, and I'm also looking at another comment that has come up on the screen saying the United Nations is a circus. United Nations as an organization has failed to resolve issues like Palestine and Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Salman.
It's very true. You know what? We can condemn United Nations from morning until evening. It is a dichotomy. It is I would say, it's a very Eurocentric. It serves the agenda of imperial powers. I give you an example. When things happen in Baghdad, and you know that you've been a part of this struggle, when things happen in Afghanistan, the women wearing the niqab was becoming the threat to the democracy around the world, and they rallied behind and bombed the country to the ruins. When 7 people was killed in Tripoli at the uprising of the Gaddafi, they bomb it and they kill him. But when the hundreds and thousands of the people have been killed, the same United Nations failed to bring any meaningful resolution. They have brought 58 resolution, but that's just a paper and that's a lip service. but there is no resolution has been brought forward which bring an implementation to actually what the resolution is. Resolutions on Kashmir are recommendation. They are not resolution. Those are there for implementation for a coercive reason. Like after the revoking of the article things, that was a unilaterally and it was an illegal action. Nothing had changed. When Gaddafi brought his forces, they brought seven resolutions in 1 hour and ordered the NATO. So there is a dichotomy. When you look at the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, they use it very lavishly when in context against the Muslim. When it comes to the issue of solving the problem of a Muslim, what you call it, the Christian state of East Timor, it was okay. When it became the sectionist movement of the Sudan, it was okay to bring the implementation. But when it comes to the Palestine and Kashmir, we are a stalemate. We are not being, the United Nations resolution or United Nations standard are not applicable to these countries because of the Muslim bearing.
Yes, and just finally looking at the Modi government that has capitalized on this issue, and the situation under the Modi BJP fascist government has actually gone worse, Salman.
It's true, very true. India has lost the luster. What India used to be, it would used to be a pluralistic and it used to be a secular state and a pacifist Indian Hindu state. Now, since the rise of a Modi, and of course, everybody know the Modi rise to the power was from the ashes of a Gujarat. He was brought into the power by the Hindu fundamentalists, BJP and the RSS. Now, they have brought from worse to the bad by India has turned very singularistic country is no longer a secular state. It has become a fascist Hindu right-wing state. And as you can see, not in Kashmir, but across the India, everywhere the minorities, whether the Dalits, whether it is the Sikhs, they all have been persecuted. So you are very right. In the time of a Modi, when he came to the power from there, it is definitely a license to kill, and that is the persecution of the minorities, not only for the Muslims but across the board.
Well, Salman, Jazakallah for that, and as always, for your time with us this morning, yeah, on Salam Media. We wish you all the best, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Salman Khan, chairperson of the South African Kashmir Action Group, commemorating Kashmir Black Day to being to the 27th of October, and this was in 1947 when Indian troops had landed in Jammu and Kashmir. Just looking at some of the other comments that have come through, talking about veto powers, they should be dismantled with immediate effect in order to balance the power in the world. India under siege by Hindu Rashtra, terrorist Hindu government of the BJP and the RSS. Those are some of the comments that are coming through. The time is just gone 8:39. We come back. Our focus is going to be on Palestine. We're looking at Nablus and unpacking some of the recent developments there.